And based on history, we know that they don't want us to claim the birthright. They want us to stay NBC. Right? They want us to stay stateless. They want us to say not knowing that the fact that people's rights are arbitrarily being deprived, that the international community, from the Pope to the UN to whoever, is sending out a loud plea to these people. Like, remember that when we look at international communities, when they say somebody's being deprived of their nationality, right? Majority of time, those people have a nation that the people themselves recognize and accept themselves as. Here, there's only select few of people who look like us that speak, think, smell, breathe nationality. So don't think that they're talking to us because you hear some Moor have some issue at a Walmart. And we're talking about how they deprive people of their rights or whatever like that. They're not putting this out for us. We already have this information. They're putting this out for the dumb Negroes who don't want to realize that point of the sword is about to present itself to you people. And the only saving grace is nationality. Yeah, but they're saying people are being deprived of nationality. Yeah, because they have no nationality. People are violated because they have no nationality. UN comes out and says human rights and arbitrary deprivation of nationality. The people are depriving themselves of the nationality, which allows them to be deprived. It's not the foreigner that's depriving. The foreigner is moving on what he's given. And he's given stateless people. So, like how you want us to deal with you? If you're going to be stateless, then we'll deal with you like stateless people. And this is where it's at. They're not putting this out because they realize, oh, those guys over there are deprived. They're letting people know, just like they did with the UN declarations. They're letting people know right now, 2016, June, you're depriving yourself of a nationality because we're here as the Human Rights Council, right? And we're here guided. This is the, now, it's like when the slave was given the speech to, it's like the Frederick Douglass 4th of July speech, right? Where he's reaffirming, he's stressing the point that you do know that 4th of July has nothing to do with people who look like us. You do know this. But he wasn't talking to Europeans. He was talking to his own people. Because they're warped in their mind. They have problems. So the UN is the United Nations being a fraud, being run by international banksters, being run by God, gold, oil, and drugs. Even they're coming out and saying Just like the Pope, remember? Don't let his kissing people's feet and whatever disconnect you from Romanix Pontifex and all these papal bulls that these popes been signing to violate us. This stuff's finished. They're telling everybody run for the hills. Because the sleeping giant is awakening. And it's not going to be fun out here. It's not going to be fun for certain people when these Moors start saying, we're not Bloods and Crips, we're Moors. We're not black spades and orange bandana or whatever, we're Moors. And you people have been stealing our birthright. And it's pay up time right now. Because they have that right. Because the UN been telling them, you know you have a right to a nationality. All Aboriginal people, they have the right to the 54 articles. And everybody just, black power and Black Lives Matter and the child should have a right to a nationality. All these mothers being born, going, getting birth certificate and all that. You know, indigenous people, everybody who's indigenous, they have a right to a nationality. And only people proclaiming are Moors who are remembering. One second. You never came here on a slave ship. One second. Like we used to rule. It's time to remember. Remember. And these frauds from the Pope to United Nations are coming out and telling people. There's no Jesus and there's no Muhammad and the Bible and the Quran are corruption and whatever. They're putting it all out there. They don't even care. The stuff is so finished. They don't even care. They're not even holding back. Remember, this is the United Nations talking, not to people who have this information, to people who don't know. Because they're stupid and they have to be told. Even though that's not how a man knows, but I mean, they gotta do something because they're not getting these people's judgment for denying their own birthright. Mercenaries, highwaymen, whatever. Well, we tried to tell them. I mean, we shot them in the street. We choked them on the corner. Like they just wanted to march and stuff. Like we tried to let them know. We tried. We built a big ass church, put a black guy on it, and call him Benedict the Moor and all that stuff. People still don't get it. International community now. This is after the UN declarations. These people are coming up. General Assembly. Reaffirming also its resolution of 22nd of March 2012, in which it took into consideration the fact that persons, corporations, without birth registration may be vulnerable to statelessness and associated lack of protection. Now remember, they're saying that persons without birth certificates. So there's a person. This is them, saying that they're fraud, right? While saying right stuff, right? They're letting you know. It's not really wrong if they're letting you know they're a fraud. It's actually good. So they're letting you know that persons that don't have birth registration, right? There's all the conscious people who are gonna, play that they can apply what the Moors say to them, and they're not the strong man because they saw this European do it, so they're gonna, right? That's them, the no birth certificate people, right? Without birth registration, so the fact that persons without birth registration may be vulnerable to statelessness. Now, the birth registration makes you stateless. The birth registration makes you a person. So they're letting people know the birth registration makes you a person. So a person without a birth registration, a person, not an individual, not a human being, not a citizen, a person, may be vulnerable to statelessness and associated lack of protection. Stateless people, which our people are, because they have no nationality, and then even if they have a birth certificate, they're still a person, so they're stateless and lack protection. Whereas somebody from some other country has a nationality. So whether they have a birth registration or not, they have protection. They laid it off for people. Recognizing the authority of states to establish laws governing the acquisition, renunciation, or loss of nationality in accordance with international law, and noting that the issue of statelessness is already under consideration by the General Assembly within the broad issue of state succession. Within the broad issue of state succession. They're recognizing the authority of the states. What are states? Like, what do they mean by states? They're talking about quasi-national states? Are they talking about national states? Are they talking about states of mind? States of being? What kind of states? Right, so there's these little vague things that they have in there to lull people, because majority of people, they're not going to read this. Majority of people, Moors will read this because this is a tool that can be used once we use the tool a little bit. See how it works, right? Recalling that persons arbitrarily deprived of nationality are protected by international human rights and refugee law. So persons who are deprived of nationality, Negro, black, colored people, depriving themselves,